Hey, naughty knitters! Welcome back. I'm Tanya. I'm the host of the French Knot. This is where we talk about all the knitty, yarny, fibery things. Today, we have the follow-up to the 12 Days of Knitmas. Are you excited? You guys, I got so much done. You are not going to believe it. It was very productive Knitmas. Now, the one caveat I'm going to say is that I did get sick in the middle of it. I was going to film it like a vlog, but I got sick. And so that went kind of out the window. I just couldn't do it. You can still kind of hear me nasally, but I'm here and I'm pumped and I'm ready to share our progress. All right. What am I wearing today? It is my step-by-step cardigan by Florence Miller. Knit up in Dream State Spin Cycle in the colorway Salty Dog. I just love this. You guys, she does such a fabulous job. She is such a gift to the knitting community. So this is a pattern that she offers, but she has tutorials for every single step of the way. And so if you've not knit a cardigan, if you've not done an applied double knit button band and a no cut buttonhole, I highly suggest checking her out. I mean, look at these buttonholes. They turned out fantastic. And there's no cutting yarn. There's no ends. It's fantastic. So day one, we had a very special cast on and we did Gucci's sweater. How cute is that, you guys? She loves her new sweater. Yes, she does. She loves it so much. It's the Honey Hound by Stephen West, and it covers up all her little skin that is showing from the steroids. And so it's made her a very, very happy puppy. I'm so excited about this one. Let's talk a little bit about it. So the white in it that you see is Dubrovnik DK by Knitting McPurley. It's a superwash merino in the colorway Jovis. The colors that I put in, I'll put up here. They are leftovers that I had in Dream State by Spin Cycle. So the Honey Hound, it went relatively fast. I got it almost, I would say 3/4 done the first day, and then worked on it little by little throughout the 12 days, and now she's done. So day 2, we had to do a new cast on. Now day 2 was a travel day. And so I thought this is going to be a day when I'm going to be able to sit and knit pretty undisturbed for long periods of time because I have a long layover when I go to visit the grandkids and it takes all day to get there. So I wanted something that would keep me engaged the whole time. I wanted something that was going to really keep my mind occupied, that I could make a lot of progress in because it's a long travel day with long layovers. And I knew this. And so I decided what better than the Metamorphic by Andrea Mowry. Now I chose a size 2 in the Metamorphic. A size 2 is a 37-inch bust, which is perfect for me. So they recommend 0 to 4 inches of positive ease. This will give me about 1 inch, 1 to 2 inches of positive ease, depending on if I go by my upper or my lower bust. I usually go by my upper, which is 35 inches, 36 for my lower. It calls for a sport weight yarn up on US 6 for the main body and 4 for the ribbing. And it's knit up inside out, you guys. It's very unique construction. So it's knit inside out. So you're doing a ton of knit, 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 knit. Well, first, start with what you start with. So you start with a tubular cast on here. And you guys, for the first time ever, I got it without looking, no looking at a video, no looking at instructions. I just knew what to do. It was so exciting. Didn't make any mistakes, got all the way through. Was able to do the transition to the 2x2 without looking as well. I was so pumped, so jazzed. So I got that cast on at the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I was able to do the short rows, got them all done. And then it was just knitting. And so you're just knitting basically, and then putting in some slip stitches for this decorative feature. When you turn it inside out, it looks like that. How fun is that, you guys? Look at her. Okay, so what am I knitting her out of? So the sport weight I used was the Metamorphic by Spin Cycle in the colorway Truffle. Look how pretty that is. It's such a nice chocolatey brown. Paired with my custom Spin Cycle, guys. Look at that. We're using her. And so I just love this combination. It's going to be very folly and right up my alley. What do you think? Isn't she just lovely? I think it's going to be just perfect. It's a little cinched in. It looks a little funky because of the increases in the circular yoke, but that'll all block out and it's going to be fine. So I will show you kind of a close-up of the colors. There we are. It's really hard to see when it's not blocked, but there you go. All right. So that is the Metamorphic by Andrea Mowry On the second day of Christmas, my true love knit for me a metamorphic sweater. We got a long ways on that. And I didn't get it all in day 2, but I ended up, before the 12 days was up, we ended up getting it split for sleeves. So I'm pretty proud of that. Quite a bit of progress for 22 stitch gauge. All right, so that's day 2. Day 3 was a big old recovery day from travel. We didn't get in until midnight on day 2. So day 3, I wanted something kind of mindless. And we went with the Manhattan Hat Bulky Weight by Tori U. Guys, this was so much fun. I didn't want anything that was going to take too much thinking, too much strategizing. I just kind of wanted to knit. And guys, I got this done in one day. I used my hand spun, my first hand spun. That's what's left of the one skein. I still have another small skein left, so I could probably do a small version of this. So this one I knit up was in the size small, and it was the single fold brim. So she has lots of options. You can do no fold, you can do double fold, you can do single fold, lots of sizes from baby all the way up to large adult. And I did adult small because I like my hats a little bit tighter. So anyway, it was knit up on a US 9. Guys, here she is. Look at her. I don't want to mess up my hair, so I'm going to put some pictures in of it. But how cute is that? It turned out so good. Well, here. How cute. You love it. This is probably my favorite hat I've ever knit. I mean, not only because it's my own hand spun, but just the way that it fits and the way I have a little bit of space up here. I knit it about an inch longer than what she called for, and it's perfect. I have a long head. I guess not as a big head. It's 21 inches, so it's like average, but it's long this way, so I have to give myself extra length, and I have a lot of hair. So, oh gosh, look what I did. So that was day 3. On the 3rd day of Knitmas, my true love knit for me a Manhattan bulky hat. So that was day 3. That was a lot of fun. So I felt very accomplished by this point. And then day 4, I'm like, okay, I need to cast on something that's going to keep me a little bit occupied that I can work on. I chose the Stitches sweater by Veronica Lindberg, also known as Kuda Vakika. I'm knitting her up in a size extra small, and it is only going to be 87.5. But for whatever reason, I know that I knit a little bit looser than Veronica, I think. And so it's going to be a little bit bigger. I know this. So I went with my gut because I've made other stuff of hers before. And guys, I'm guilty. I did not do any gauge swatching for this challenge because I just thought it would eat up too much time. So I just kind of went with designers that I kind of knew and trusted and knew how to size things. So that's how that went. So I knitted up. The main body is in Miss Babs. There we go. Miss Babs Yowza, which is a merino. Look how pretty that. Let's see if that shows. Maybe I'm not getting a good read on that for you. Anyway, it's a DK weight and it's in sparkling sand. So it's this sandy color with these flecks of color in it. See, so there's some pink in it, some yellow, some brown. I hope you can pick some of that up. So that's the main color. And then for the contrasting colors, I kind of changed course here. So I was going to use green for the stitches, but I decided I'm going to have a ton of the Metamorphic left over from the Metamorphic sweater. So I went with the Metamorphic Truffle, which is, it's a lightweight DK, but I think it's going to work fine for the stitches and some of the other color work. And then I went with the Little Wings fiber in Officers for one of the contrasting colors and Jack Be Nimble for the other. So those are the colors that we're using for the sweater. This is the main color right here. And then these are the contrasting colors on the bottom. We're knitting the body up on a US 8. Now, in the pattern instructions, she says to use a worsted or a DK. And so I'm like, okay, all I have is DK. And I don't know what happened when I was picking out the yarn. I guess I didn't really see that or appreciate it, but I think it's working out fine. Here we are. What do you look at her? So the day 4 we're on, right? So I was able to get all the way through the stitches portion, the lettering. And then I went to do this bottom part right here underneath it, these little V's, and realized that I had forgotten to do a set of increases before the stitches. Can you believe that? I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm showing you the back. Sorry. Here we go. There's the front. I'm like, can you believe that? So I had to rip out all that color work, those letters, and redo them. And so the next morning on day 5, I woke up and redid the stitches and did the zigzag underneath and got it separated for sleeves before I actually started on the true day 5. But this is such a lovely weight. I'm so glad that I didn't go with the worsted because I run warm. I'm sweating to death right now. I'm going to have to take my Uggs off right now because I'm so hot. And so I think that the DK weight is going to actually be much nicer, especially in a colorwork sweater. So I'm really glad that that happened. And I think the size is going to be just fine. And I don't think it's too holy. I think, yeah, I think it's going to be perfect. And I was a little bit concerned about the lack of contrast in the purple. But you know what? I think it's okay. I think it's understated and it's okay. I could have gone with the green, but I don't think it would have had the same effect. And so I decided to just be happy with it. So all I have left on this is to knit the body. I've already got probably a good 2.5 inches done on the body. So finish that up. And if you look, I mean, see, it's not that much. And then I want a nice wide band and then do the arm or the sleeves and the cuffs. Now, what I'm wondering is to pull it all together. She doesn't do this, but I'm wondering what you guys think of at the cuffs and at the hem and at the neckline if I do some edging in this purpley pink. What do you guys think of that? I'm really strongly considering that. I think it would kind of bring out a little bit of the pink, maybe make it flow a little bit better. I don't know. It's a thought I have. It's not something that she did. It's not something that I've seen actually in any of the samples, but I'm very tempted by it. So let me know what you think. Anyway, on the 4th day of Christmas, my true love knit for me a stitches sweater. So there you have it. That's day 4. Next, we're already on day 5. So day 5 was a little tricky. So day 5 was going to be the day that we open up gifts with the grandkids, and Mr. Knott was going to be coming into town very late. And so he wasn't going to be able to be there for gift opening, but I wanted something kind of a quicker knit. My thought was an accessory would be a good thing to knit on day 5 because my thought was it would be mindless, and I was wrong. But I love it nevertheless. So we're going with the Traveler's Cowl by Andrea Mowry for this handspun, which is my second plied handspun. She recommends knitting this up on a US 6, and I did. I started that, and it was too stiff. My handspun was obviously tighter than what it was supposed to be. And so I bumped up to a US 7 and started knitting again and love it so much better. And so here's what we have so far. This is the right side. There we go. And so, there's a lot to go still. We're probably about halfway through, but I really do love it. It's really pretty. It's turning out very lovely. Has a very hand-spun look to it. It's rough, guys. I know, but I'm new. It's new. And so that is the Traveler by Andrea Mowry. Now, what I was going to say is that it's not an intuitive knit. It's not hard. You just have to pay attention because it's not knit, knit, purl, purl. It's like knit 3 rows, purl 2, increase here. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And then you have the I-cord edge that you're building, and there's just a lot to pay attention to. So I didn't get as much done on this as I had hoped that day. But I did get it started, and I do love it. And I bet you, it won't take long to finish. It's going pretty quickly. It's just that I have to be able to concentrate when I do it. So what do you think? What do you think of that? She's coming along on the 5th day of Christmas. My true love knit for me A traveler's cowl. Oh God, my voice. You guys, I'm so sorry. I got sick and I never sing well, but now I'm really singing horribly. But I just can't help myself. I know I should just not, but I can't help myself. Okay. Day 6. Guys, this was a fun one. So this My Instant Crush by Hokey Locatelli. I'm knitting it up in a size 2, which is equivalent to a 33 1/4 inch bust. Now, she recommends no ease or a little bit of negative ease. And so with the 33 1/2 inch bust, I think it's going to be okay. It just seems like when it goes on your body, it's never really that negative unless you go way too small. I'm also a little bit limited on yarn. So we'll get into that. So this is knit up on a US 6 for the body, US 2.5 for the ribbing. This is knit up on yarn that I got from Lamb and Kid at Flock Fiber Festival 2024. And I've been wanting to knit this up, and I didn't really understand how much yarn I needed for things and holding double. It was a lot. So I did the best I could, and I think I'll be okay. In the pattern, it calls for mohair held double. Now, what I purchased was Lamb and Kid Birdie, which is a Surrey lace weight, which is a little bit thicker, right? And so my thought is it's probably going to be a little bit bigger than the 33 1/2. Hopefully not too much, but I'm also going to use up a little bit more yarn. So there could be some yarn chicken at the end. I'm hoping not. I'm really hoping. But so what I'm using is we have for the main color, we have Cafe, and then one of the contrast colors is Pop Rocks. I know that one. And then I think this is Fetch. And then I believe this is Inside Scoop, and then Pendant. There you go. So I have the contrast color and 4 contrast colors. Now the pattern only calls for 3 contrast colors. So that's kind of where I hope I'm able to use this yellow here and there to kind of not have to use so much of the other. I have enough. So I'm trying to kind of make it stretch. So pray for me that that works. However, we have cast her on. And look at her. And we're already separated for sleeves. And I mean, she's going to be a snug one, but I think it's going to be a nice fit. What do you guys? Oh my God. These colors are not picking up right. They are so much more vibrant. So this is knit up. You start with the 2x2 rib, put in some short rows, and then it's raglan increases. And the whole thing is color work. And it's so fluffy and so fantastic. And it's going to be the coziest, snuggliest sweater ever. Yes. And that was what I knit for the 6th day of Christmas. My true love knit for me an instant crush by Hokey Locatelli. I'm really looking forward to that being done. And you guys pray for me that I don't run out of yarn. Because these are all, my understanding is that dye lots are super important in Lamb and Kid because they hand dye their yarns similar to farmer daughter fibers. And so you really want to get the same dye lot. I guess because it's color work, it's all over. So what I'm planning on doing is working down to kind of an acceptable level and then doing the sleeves and kind of doing them together so that if I do run out, I run out at the same time. And if I have to get new yarn, it'll kind of make sense. I don't know. If you have any better ideas, let me know. But for now, we're just going with we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Oh, I got a lot of yarn chicken I'm playing, guys. A lot of yarn chicken this go round. Day 7, new cast on. So this one was out of Johanna's Strands of Joy, and it is the vintage flannel. There you go. Yep. This is a fun knit. So it says knit on the front, and then on the back, it has this cute little pearl detail. Isn't that cute? So it's knit up on a US 36 for the body. And I'm knitting it in the smallest size, which is bust circumference of 30 to 38.5 inches. I don't want a lot of ease on this one. I don't think it needs it. And now what I did was I hate carrying a book around with me. So I went ahead and scanned in the pattern into my notes app and then downloaded into my Knit Companion, and then I'm using that. And so that helps a lot. So I can take it on the go. So anyway, the yarns that I'm using, Fort Reminisce by Farmer Daughter Fiber in the color Honeydew is my main color. Isn't that a nice, bright, fun color? Love that. And then for the spin cycle, the color changing yarn, I'm using Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool Bitter Pill. So it's going to be kind of a subtle color change, but that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be kind of subtle in the color changing. I didn't want, because it's going to be very dramatic, the contrast between the two. And I didn't want too much contrast within the contrast. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's what I went with. I got this yarn at Flock Fiber Festival this fall. And I understood patterns and yarn a lot better this year. We don't have a lot, I admit. Here we go. We have a neckline, but it's actually more than it looks like. So you start out with a provisional cast on, and she tells you to do it with crochet. I always just use the try it on tubing, and I connect the tubing to the end of my knitting needle, and then I fold it back, and then I cast onto that, and then start knitting. And then when I go to put the other needle on, it just threads right on. It's way easy. To me, it's way easier than the crocheted provisional cast on. That's just me. And then what you do is you knit back into that provisional cast on. And so it's a folded over collar. I got the short rows done and starting on the raglans and just started the color work. Just ever so barely started the color work there. And I don't know about you, but when I knit patterns out of books, I feel like the instructions aren't as clear. And so it was a little tricky getting started on the color work, and I hope that I got it started correctly. They don't use as many words when they put it in a book. That's the problem. And I like my words. I like a lot of words, but I think it's turning out fun. I think this is going to be a really fun knit. So that's day 7. Can you believe that? Yeah. And I only worked on that the one day and didn't pick it up again because this one is a sit down and be focused project. Day 7. Oh, that is the Vintage Flannel by Johanna Strands. Now, day 8. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know, girl, you don't have any just plain easy throw on knits. And I don't. I really don't. And so day 8 is meant to fill that bill. So let's start out with what we did on day 8. So day 8 is the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. And I'm knitting it up in a size 1 because there's so much positive ease in this sweater built in. She builds in 10 inches of positive ease, basically. And so the size small would be 100 centimeters. My bust is 91 centimeters. And so 9 centimeters of positive ease is roughly 4 inches of positive ease. That's enough for me. So I knit the smallest size, all to say that. And I am knitting her up in a very special yarn. This is a yarn that I coveted for over a year before I got. So at Flock Fiber Festival the first year, there's a booth that has a sheep in it. And the sheep is so cute. It's more like a lamb. It's a tiny little sheep, but it's a Wild Rose Farm. And they had this yarn that was so floppy and so yummy and so scrumptious. And it was a Wesleydale. If you've ever heard of Wesleydale and natural colors, not dyed, I fell in love with it. I didn't buy it because I just thought it was more than what I wanted to pay my first year in knitting. I didn't quite understand the value. And got home, regretted it, and then stocked them. I went on to the Flock Fiber Festival page to figure out who they were, and then I went on their Etsy page to try to find yarn. I corresponded with her for a while. She didn't have enough in stock to make a sweater. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait and I will pick out yarn when I get there in 2025. And that's what I did. And here she is. So this is the Wesleydale. This is the sheep named Starlight, and that's her natural charcoal color. Yep, her name is Starlight, and it's spun up in a worsted weight. And it is the most natural. It's just beautiful. It just glows by itself. I would not want to pair this with anything. This is all it needs. So I am knitting up the Lakes pullover. Isn't that just plain and beautiful? I think it's going to get so much wear. Now, the construction on it is, we're going to say cool. It's fiddly. And so I did this a day before we left North Dakota to come home. And so I knew I'd be doing some of this on the plane. So I wanted to get it to a point where it wouldn't be fussy on the plane. Didn't quite get there. But what you do is you knit one of these saddles and then you put it on hold. And then you knit the second saddle and put the ends on hold. And then you pick it back up or you cast on stitches right here. And then you knit some short rows back and forth to basically form the back. And then you put that on hold, pick up stitches on the front, knit some short rows to give it that angle. Do the same on this side. And then you cast on a few stitches for the neckline. And then you knit back and forth for a while. And then finally, you join it in the round. And so I just got it joined in the round. It didn't even happen on the airplane. It was a lot of knitting. And I think part of it is that there was a lot of purling, right? I really, really, really love this one. So it's knit up on, I told you it was worsted weight yarn. And sorry, she is knit up, yeah, on a US 8. And so you can imagine how fast that is going now. It's going to zip by. So I'm hoping I get this done very quickly because I want to be able to wear this for the rest of the winter. We're just starting to get winter here now. It's snowing today, finally, middle of January practically. It's my birthday. We're getting snow. Happy birthday to me. On the 9th day of Knitmas, my true love knit for me, a Lakes pullover. Oh, my poor voice. It's so bad. But we're going to get through this. So look forward to more of that. The next cast on that we have is sweater number 26 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Guys, I was so sick this day that I barely got anything on, but you know the rules. The rules where you had to do one row, and I did. So I knitted up in a size extra small, which corresponds to a 42-inch circumference. Because again, I don't like a lot of ease. And it's knit up on a US 6. Okay. And I'll just pop up a picture of what she's supposed to look like. But this yarn I got at the Flock Fiber Festival 2 different years. So I believe first I got the mohair, which was, it was U2 yarn, like U2 yarn in the Kid We Knot lace weight. I don't know why I bought it. I didn't buy anything to go with it. I just bought a few skeins of this and called it a day. So I got home and I'm like, what am I going to do with that? And so then when I got ready for Flock Fiber Festival this year, one of my goals was to find yarn to pair with this. So you'll see it's very pretty. So what I found was from Fuzzy Peach Fibers, this Midnight. It's a Dreamy DK, 100% superwash merino. And there it is. So it's just a little bit different color, but I think it's going to be gorgeous. I started one saddle sleeve. There's one of the saddles, but I just wanted to show you the fabric. You see that kind of dimension that it gives? I think it'll be really pretty in this sweater. So I'm a long ways from anywhere on this one. There we go. I was really not feeling well. So I did a lot of sleeping that day and yeah, not a lot of knitting. It happens. It happens. But I do love the way that the mohair just kind of shines on this one. It's going to be really pretty when it is knit up. So, and like I was saying, the gauge on this one, it says it's a DK, but the gauge is 19 stitches per 4 inches. And so to me, it's very similar. And I think the gauge it's working up fine. It doesn't feel stiff to me at all on the recommended needles. And we're going for it. All right. So next up, what do we have? So I haven't gotten very far on this because obviously day 10 wasn't that long ago. And my goal on this one was to get past the short rows and just be able to knit on it. And I accomplished that. This is the Shifty by Andrea Mowry. Now I'm knitting her up in a size 2, and she's knit up on a US 4. Size 2 is corresponding with a 34.5-inch chest. Now you're going to say that's too small, Tanya. You just said you're 35 to 36, but she says it's recommended ease is -2 to +2. If you're between sizes, go down. So that's what I did. I think it's going to fit just fine. You have one main color spin cycle. The main color carried all the way throughout is this. So this spin cycle, Night Moves by Spin Cycle. It's in their Nocturne colorway, and it's a subtle shift. You're doing mosaic color work with contrasting spin cycles dyed in the wool. And so 3 different ones. So the ones that I chose are 11th hour, which is right here, 11th hour. So that's bright. That's going to be the first one that we're doing. And then the next one is Dream World. So those are more rich, but fun. And the third one is not as contrasty. And there's Leaf. And so we have these three contrasting colors with this main color. And so, like I said, you carry this throughout, and then it's almost like if you remember the night shift, or if you've done the night shift, it's kind of that mosaic pattern. And so it's not going to be all of this and then all of this and all of this. She goes all back and forth. And so I just got started. I got through the short rows. I started with a skein that had a nice dark purple start to it and did the collar with the tubular cast on without looking again. I'm so proud of myself. But this is a 1x1 rib, so we didn't have to do any finagling. Got the short rows done. And here's how it's working up. So that's cute, right? So we're about ready to change colors, so I stopped. I'm like, okay, got that done. And I had to go back and work on something else. I don't remember what, but there was a reason that I had to work on something else. But I did get the cast on done and got through the short rows. That was the objective. Objectives, people. You have to have priorities when you're doing a project. This was a big undertaking. I was surprised at how much mind power it took, I guess I'm going to say, but it was a lot of fun. Day 11. This one has been on my radar forever. This is some Lamb and Kid. I used their Trio DK, which is 70% merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And guys, if you've not knit with this Trio DK, what are you doing? You've got to get some. This is the most scrumptious, delicious yarn I think I've ever worked with. Or it's up there. It's definitely up there. So, okay. And there's not going to be any yarn trick, I hope, with this one. So I went with, for my 11th cast on, the Stripe Hype by Veronica Lindberg, also known as Kudavikika. So I'm knitting her up in a size small, and corresponds with a 41.75-inch circumference. And so I think that's going to be plenty of ease. She recommends more ease. She's saying 8 to 12 inches of positive ease. Too much for me, I think. I don't know, guys. I'm getting old, I think. So I don't like as much ease. So anyway, it's knit up on a US 6, and it's knit up using DK yarn. And I am using Trio DK by Lamb and Kid. And the first colorway is the main color. And it's kind of this greigey beige. It's really lovely. It's called Vintage. The contrasting colors, we have Kiki, we have Carnaby, we have Radish. Now that's the body, okay? Now for the sleeves, we have Trebby and Lila. So there we go. Those are the contrasting colors. What do you guys think? Very springy, right? That was kind of my goal. I wanted something a little bit more springy. It's a little lighter weight sweater. Even though it's a DK, the color work is striping, and so it's not going to have any double thickness anywhere. So that's kind of my goals, to have a lighter, kind of a spring looking sweater. Now this one you cast on in the back, and basically you just knit a square. And then all the way down to the second contrasting color, one stripe of that. And then you pick up stitches for the front panel, knit down, do some increases, do the same here, pick up, knit down, do some increases for shaping, join right here with the cast on, and then knit a couple more stripes, and then you join in the round, and that's where we are. We're already joined in the round. And so that's my day 11, the Stripe Hype by Veronica Lindberg. And I really am going to love this one. Even though it's a springy palette, that vintage in between really mutes it. So I think it's going to be very pretty. Now she calls for a 1x1 twisted rib for the collar and the hem. But I saw, I believe it was Rachel from Table 10, who did a 2x2, and I'm contemplating on doing a 2x2. Let me know what you think. I just feel like the 1x1 cinches in too much. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Give me your thoughts on that. This is my Stripe Hype by Veronica Lindberg. It's my cast on for the 11th day of Knitmas, my true love knit for me. Stripe Hype by Veronica Lindberg, also known as Kuda Vakika. All right. Finally, we've come to the grand finale, the 12th day of Knitmas. Guys, 12th day is here. And I picked a pattern from this book called Memory Lane. It's by Claudia Quintanilla from Unit Toronto. And it is her Aureliano sweater. See that one right there is the inspiration. I am knitting this up in a size 2, which corresponds to a 38-inch bust circumference. So I think that's going to be fine. It is a circular yoke, so sometimes those get a little bit too big, but I didn't want to go too small. I don't know. It was tricky because they don't recommend negative ease on this, and she recommends 0 to 2 inches of positive ease. So I don't know. I hope it's not too big. Anyway, it's knit up on a US 4, and I'm using yarn. She calls for mohair held double. And I picked up this yarn from Camellia Fibers when I was at the Flock Fiber Festival this fall. And it's such gorgeous colors. The main color is Sweet Pea. It's kind of a purplish or lavenderish blue. And then we have a contrasting blue iris. Look how pretty those are together. With the red poppy. And then finally the moonflower are the colors that I chose. Now, you'll remember in the original video, I had pink instead of the red, I think it was. But I think the red has a better contrast. And you'll see why when I show you what it looks like. So I got started on her as my 12th cast on. So I wanted to get through one full repeat of the color work to show you. So this is a double folded collar that I have not folded yet. So it's a long collar, but it's going to be double folded. Okay, and then tacked down. And then there's some short rows in the back that we did that you can kind of see. There we go. And then there's the color work. So you've got that moonflower and the blue iris, and then here's that red poppy that I put in instead of the pink. So I think that is a better contrast. I think the pink would have just kind of faded away, and then this blue iris would have been too much. I could have done pink instead of the blue iris, but I think I like the pop of the blue. What do you guys think? Did I make the right decision? I hope so, because I don't want to go back. Because knitting with double mohair is not for the faint of heart when you're doing color work. So I'm holding it upside down, but it's pretty. What do you guys think for the 12th day? What do you think? So that's it. That's your 12 days of Knitmas. That's how far we've gotten. I am so thrilled with this adventure. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you enjoy these kinds of challenges and the content that I create, please like and subscribe. Share the channel with your knitting friends. I'm just so happy and feel so blessed for all the support from all of you guys. Now, I'm going to ask you one favor. Comment down below which project so far has been of the 12 days of Knitmas. I am so excited to hear what your favorite is. I already kind of know my favorite, but I'm not going to tell you. So look forward to plenty of updates in the coming weeks and months. I'm hoping these all fly off the needles, but as you know, new things come my way and get cast on. And we still have some cast-ons from before that we have to get through. But we'll get there. It's not a race. Knitting's not a race. All right, guys, it's been so nice having you. I hope you're enjoying your holiday season. And a very, very happy new year to all of you. Hoping next week to have out my 2025 knit and review. Be on the lookout for that, where I showcase all of my knits from the year 2025. And just a little hint, there's over 50. So it's going to be a big one. All right, guys, until next time, happy knitting!